All right, folks, let's get into it. So, this is just what we did on Wednesday. So, we're doing part plus part equals whole. Let's try that letter again. Great. Awesome. We not? That's great. There we go. So, part plus part equals whole. So, the first part's 11. The second part is 2x plus 10. And the whole thing is x plus 8. Oop, that's a minus 10. See, got to be careful. All right, combine your like terms. 11 and negative 10 make 1. And then we're going to solve. We're going to subtract the x over to the other side. 2x minus x, so we've got x plus 1 equals 8 like this. Then we're going to subtract 1 from both sides, leaving us with x equals 7. So this is x, but we want to find the length of segment CB. And remember, this is segment CB, right? So we got, this is 2x minus 10. So now we know x. Let's put in x right here so that we can find CB. Two times x. Well, what's x? X is 7, so it goes in there. Minus 10. 2 times 7 is 14. 14 minus 10 is 4. So the length of CB had better be 4. So if we're concerned or confused about that, we want to make sure we did it right. 11 plus, so this is 4. So 11 plus 4, that's 15. This whole thing, when we plug 7 in for x, had also better be 15. 7 plus 8 is in fact 15, so we know that we've done it right. Okay, so let's talk about today. What are we going to do? Well, we're going to be able to use what's called the angle addition postulate to find the angle measure of a given angle. In order to do this, just like we did last week with the segment addition postulate, we're going to do part plus part equals whole. So as we're going through doing these problems, think back to last week, especially if you were cool with what we did last week. Pay attention to how they're the same. If you were having trouble last week, this is going to be basically the same process. So whatever we do now, you can apply back to last week as well. Yeah, the whole point is you want to take the two pieces, add them together, and set it equal to the whole thing. So as we're getting started, a couple things that I want to show you about angles that they're gonna talk about. When we're working with angles, how do we know that two angles are the same? Remember last week we showed that if you've got two line segments and they've got a little tick mark in them like this, we know that they're congruent. Same thing with angles. We're going to have a little symbol inside the angle that's going to show that there's congruence. And it's these little swooshies in here, these little arcs that are inside the middle of the angle. So, like, see this green angle? Angle KHM? And you see all these other arcs that are sort of hanging on the sides. You don't care about those. Those are for other angles. We just care about the one in the corner. We just care about the one that's on the vertex like this. So there's one swooshy here. Where else is the same one? Notice right here, one swooshy, one arc. So what we can say, what we can say is that angle KHM is congruent, and I'm going to talk about this symbol in a second, is congruent to angle LNM. So let me talk real quick about this thing right here. This symbol, the thing that looks like the equal sign with the little dipsy doodle on top, that's the symbol for congruent. We talked about congruent. We talked about congruent last week on Wednesday. If two things are congruent, their measures are the same, they're identical, right? So here, you'll notice these arrows are going off to infinity. So even though in this picture, this angle looks super big and this angle looks super tiny, they're the same. Angles, we don't care about the length of the arms. We just care about how open they are. All right, so just be aware of that. Okay, let's get into some part plus part equals whole. So once again, we're gonna look at our picture, and here's the first part, the part on the left. Here's the second part, the part on the right, and then the whole thing is this one. So this first left part is angle CDV. The second part is angle EDV. And then the whole thing is angle CDE. So when we look, they're calling it backwards, and that's okay. Remember, the only thing that has to be the same is that the middle letter has to be in the same place. You can flip the first and the third letters however which way you want. CDV versus VDC, it's the same thing. EDV versus VDE, same thing. It's okay. EDC, CDE, again, that middle letter is the only one that you have to worry about. But so we look at what we want to do. We want to find the measure of angle VDC. So we want to find the measure of this left one. I'm going to put that right here. I'm going to call that X, right? This is the one we want. And we're going to do EDV is 40 degrees. And EDC is 158. So we don't know what CDV is, but we do know that this part is 40 and the whole thing is 158. So what plus 40 is 158? Part whole, right? What plus 40 is 158? What's the answer? And if you're not sure if you did it right, you can always take the two pieces, add them together, make sure that you get the whole thing. 118 plus 40, that had better add up to 158, right? 8 and 0, 1 and 4. And then bring down the 1. 158. So we know we did it right, yeah? All right, so is it 82? Let's see. So look at what they tell us. They want us to find DCM. They want us to find this angle in here, right? They tell us that DCB, the whole thing, is 154. And they tell us that MCB, this one, is 72. So let's see, is 82 right? If it is, if I add it to the other small one, I better get 154. 2 plus 2, 8 plus 7. Good job. Again, you know, one of the things that I want us to be able to leave here to be able to do is not only get through a problem, but also on top of that, be confident that what we've done is right. So just, you know, Don't be afraid to double check your work and prove to yourself that what you've done is the correct thing. All right, same thing. Again, we're going to look at what we've got. They want DST. They give you RSD. And they give you RST. So, again, we're asking ourselves, what plus 30 is 145? And you go through and you do the problem. Whether you do it in your head, you think about it and you get an answer, or you subtract, either way, your answer should still be this thing right here, yeah? Okay, so, again, these first type of problems where it's just basic arithmetic to get the answer, you can just, like, you don't even have to do this much, honestly. A simple problem like this, only do as much as you absolutely feel like you have to. Because these are not meant to be hard. These are meant to be really easy. So now that we've done this, let's get into some algebra. Let's throw some algebra in there. Let's put some x's in there. But it's going to be the exact same problem. So we want to find x. So our final answer is going to be x equals something. And they tell us the measure of angle BCV is x plus 86. So BCV. The measure of VCD is 91 plus x. And then the whole thing is BCD. And that's 165. So once again, we're going to add our stuff together, set it equal to the whole thing. So the two parts, x plus 86 plus 91 plus x equals 165. And all we're going to do here is we're going to combine our like terms. X plus x is 2x. 86 and 91, 177. And then we're going to subtract the 177, right? And when we do this, remember that when you subtract a smaller number from a bigger number from a smaller number, you're just going to end up with a negative number, and then you can switch it around if that's easier. If it helps you to subtract like this, just make sure that you put a negative sign down. So you remember where you're trying to go. Then divide by 2 to both sides to get x by itself. And you're left with, don't forget your negative sign. 12 divided by 2 should be 6. So this is x equals negative 6. And some of you are going to say, well, I'm not sure I did it right. If you're not sure you did it right, plug it in. If you plug in negative 6 to both of these pieces, look at what you get. 86 minus 6 is 80. 91 minus 6 is 85. Part plus part, 80 plus 85 had better be 165, right? So that's how you know you did it right. Okay. Give this one a try on your own. So what did we get? Okay, so we got two people who got negative 11. Let's look at negative 11 and let's see if negative 11 makes it right. So negative 11 is x. Then we're going to put negative 11 here and here. And negative 11 plus 35, that gives us 24. Negative 11 plus 131, that gives us 120. And so they better add up, the two parts had better add up to 144. Hey, they do, right? So yeah, negative 11 has to be the answer. Let's show why negative 11 has to be the answer. So we go through and we make our equation. UTR, that's this little piece right here. And RTS, that's this piece right here. Had better add up to UTS, the whole thing, 144, right? So we're going to combine our like terms. The two x's add up to 2x. 35 and 31 had better be 166. We're going to subtract the 166 over, leaving us with 2x equals negative 22. Divide both sides by 2, and we better get negative 11. All right, so one more, and again, I'm gonna just speed through this one right now. So we got the two parts are PQJ and RQJ or JQR. So just be aware, they're switching up the order of stuff. Don't let that confuse you. Identify your parts while you're here, so you know what goes where. We got 44x plus 1. That's one part. The other part is JQR, which is 125. And those two add up to PQR, which is the big one here. And we're going to combine our like terms, just like we've been doing. And then once again, when we're doing a problem like this, we got to make a choice. It doesn't matter what the choice is, but we have to choose where the x is going to be. Are all the x's going to be on the left, or are all the x's going to be on the right? Now, in this case, I'm looking and I'm seeing the bigger numbers over here. We might as well take the x's and move them over to the right-hand side. So I'm going to subtract 44x over to the other side. 169 minus 44 is 125. I'm going to take this 1 then and subtract it over to the other side here. 126 minus 1 is 125. And so when I divide both sides by 125, I'd better get x equals 1. And once again, if you need to, you can always plug in 1 and see that you got it right. 44 times 1 plus 1 is 45. So 45 and 125, that makes 170. And so this one had better come out to be 170. 169 times whatever x is, which is 1. 169 times 1 plus 1 is 170. So we know we did it right. All right, last thing. Just like this past Wednesday, the exact situation, we're doing the exact same thing. We're saying, all right, now we want to actually get the measure the angle as our final answer and not just the x value. So all we're going to do is the exact same thing, but once we find x, we're going to go back in and we're going to go ahead and just do it. So QRN, that's one part. NRS, that's the other part. So we're going to add those together. And then QRS is the whole thing. So that's this part. And then, it's the same exact problem. We're just going to combine like terms. And then we're going to solve. So first I'm going to subtract 167 from both sides. And it just so happens that they both cancel out, leaving us with x equals 2x. And then I'm gonna have to be careful here not to lose sight of what's going on. I'm going to take the x and I'm going to subtract it over to the other side here. Cancel this out. X minus x is just 0. Please put a 0 down on the paper. Don't leave one side blank. 2x minus 1x is just 1x. And so we get x is 0. Now I want to be very clear. 0 is a number. Some people, they go through, they look at this and they say, oh, well, 0. It's nothing. It's no solution. No. 0 is the solution. The answer is 0. The value of x, the number that x has turned out to be, is the number 0. Now, 0 is a number, right? It hasn't been a number as long as some other ones, because as a cohesive society, we hadn't developed the number 0 for a really long time. Because if there were 0 sheep to count, you weren't counting anyway, right? So 0 is our answer for x. And so if we want to find the measure of angle NRS, which is this, right? X plus 145, the measure of that angle, we're going to plug in 0 for x. We're going to say, all right, well, that's 0 plus 145, which is just 145. So don't be afraid of this. Make sure that you go through, find x, whatever that number is, and then plug it in and see what you get. Okay. Give this one a try on your own. Make sure you are capable. So once again, going through and getting this forward, we're trying to find UVW. We're trying to find the whole thing. That's what we're trying to find. So we know that that is 20x minus 5, right? So that's what we're going to plug into. Let's take the two parts, UVH and HVW, add them together, set it equal. Combine like terms. And then we're going to solve just the same way we have been. Subtract the 13x over to the other side. 20 minus 13, well, that's 7. Add the 5 over to the other side. 44 plus 5, 49. Divide both sides by 7. We get x equals 7. X equals 7. So now I'm trying to find UVW as my final answer, not x. X is not my final answer. It is an intermediary step. So we're going to go through UVW. We're going to take that and we're going to put 7 into where x goes, right? That's 20 times 7. X minus 5. We're going to take 7. We're going to stick it right there. Then we're going to do our arithmetic. 20 times 7 is 140. Minus 5. 135, right? So that should be our final answer. Okay, last one. Number 43. So same thing. DEM and MEF are going to add up to DEF, and DEF is what we're trying to find. So we're going to add these two together and set it equal to this one. We got 7x minus 6 part plus 55 equals 12x minus 11. Let's combine our like terms. Negative 6 and 55. 7x plus 55 minus 6 is 49, right? Equals 12x minus 11. So once again, we're going to try and get x by itself. So we have to start by choosing a side for x. I'm going to move over to the right. So 12 minus 7 is 5. I'm going to take the negative 11. I'm going to add it over here. So 49 plus 11 is 60. And I'm going to finally divide by 5 to get x by itself. 60 divided by 5, that better be 12. And then we have to say, all right, well, we're not trying to find x, we're trying to find DEF. So we're going to do this right here, right? 12 times 12, because that's what x is. X is 12. Minus 11. 12 times 12 is 144. Minus 11, we get our final answer of 133. So it's exactly what we did. They just have hidden some of the information away from you in a statement, right? Let me show you what I mean. Right? They tell you, they give you this picture, and they give you the two parts, right? They tell you one part's 15x plus 3, one part is 10x plus 2. Well, what's the whole thing? Well, look at what they tell you. RQT is a straight angle, right? RQT is a straight angle. And a straight angle is how many degrees to it? That's right. That's exactly right. 180 degrees. So now you know the whole thing. The whole is 180. The two parts are 15x plus 3 and 10x plus 2. And so just part plus part equals whole. Just like we've been doing.